Good morning. The body is a strong point of the BMW X6 first generation. Corrosion is not a problem, and there are no other defects in this category. There is a bit more going on in the interior. You should expect worn upholstery, especially on the driver's seat, and a number of problems with the electronics. The electrical system contributes to this. What breaks down? For example, the multimedia system or navigation, but also the air conditioning control. The X6 likes to display error messages that have no basis in reality, often occurring in conjunction with a flat battery, especially since the power consumption in this model is not low. No major complaints. Repeated failures in the BMW X6 E71 mainly concern the air suspension. The bellows give out. In addition, the silent blocks of the wishbones break out and play appears, and the brakes are of low durability. Some assess the vehicle as driving exceptionally precisely, others as downright nervous in its reactions. However, everyone agrees that the vehicle springs rather hard. Such behavior on the road is not the result of a failure. In this car, 6 and 8-cylinder engines were used. In the first category, we have the N54B30 and N55B30 units, and in the second, the N63B44 and S63B44. Let's start with the N55 engine, because it is the only petrol engine in this car that gives hope for relatively trouble-free operation. Let's put it bluntly, the N55 is average anyway. Water pump or high-pressure fuel pump failures are nothing strange, as are ignition system components. Leaks do happen. This engine was used in the X6 from April 2010 until the end of production of this generation, i.e., until mid-2014. Do not confuse it with the older N54, because both have the same capacity and power of 306 HP. The other petrol engines are hard to describe without using words that are commonly considered vulgar. The most serious problem is the injectors, which can pour fuel like crazy. We also have damaged piston rings, oil consumption, seizures, and so on. The worst choice is the N63B44 engine, a 4.4-liter V8 with 408 HP. This unit is so awful that it even got an article about itself here. Related to this engine is the BMW X6M variant, the 555 bhp COVALENTS 63B44. Have the problems been eliminated? No, most of them are exactly the same. It's just that it's easier to get a well-maintained X6M than a well-maintained xDrive 50i version, so sometimes you might get the impression that things aren't as bad. The main advantage of the 6-cylinder N54 over the V8s is that there are fewer components, so the risk of failure is slightly lower, and there are no temperature problems, as it's an inline engine, so there's no turbine between the cylinder banks like the V8. But it's still not worth it if the car is in anything other than perfect, or at least very good condition. It should also be added that changing the oil less often than every 10,000 kilometers is asking for problems to appear sooner. In addition, all petrol engines have direct fuel injection, which results in the accumulation of carbon deposits that limit performance. Owners of such cars sometimes recommend regularly adding appropriate agents to the fuel, but whether this actually helps, it is difficult to assess. As a curiosity and warning, it should be mentioned that during the facelift, the V8 engine received a black cover instead of the previously used silver one. While in some models, such as the 7 Series, F01, this means the use of a much improved version of the N63B44TU, this note does not apply to the X6 E71. After the facelift, the power did not increase, nor did the Valvetronic system, the presence of which is the easiest to recognize the two variant, appear. This is still the old N63B44BO0 variant, avoid like the plague. The first X6 offered only 3-liter, 6-cylinder inline diesel engines, but unlike the 7 Series, F01, the X6 initially received the older and much-loved M57 engine. It was available in the xDrive 30D with 235 HP and xDrive 35D with 286 HP versions. Both used a late improved version, marked M57D302A2. It is a bit difficult to talk about typical faults here, as these cars are often very worn and a lot of things can simply break down, but among the riskier elements we can mention, among others, flow meters, thermostats, and EGR coolers. Many users have problems with carbon deposits in these engines. A well-maintained X6 with the M57 engine is one of the few versions that can really deserve attention. The newer N57 engine is not bad compared to other BMW products. It is even quite decent, but it does not match the M57 in terms of reliability. Various power versions were offered, from 245 HP with a single turbocharger, xDrive 30D, N57D30OL, through 306 HP bi-turbo, xDrive 40D N57D30TOP, to 381 HP with 3 turbines, X6M50D, N57S. The N57 has a timing drive located on the gearbox side, but fortunately, its durability is satisfactory. You need to pay attention to the condition of the cooling system and the EGR valve. BMW had serious problems with the latter, often resulting in car fires, so it is no joke. Cheaper and easier to service will be the 245 and 286 HP versions. There are opinions that the bi-turbo variant is more reliable. There is some logic in this, because theoretically, it is less frequently tortured before warming up due to better performance. The hybrid variant of the first-generation X6 is the only one to receive a separate factory designation, E72. Unfortunately, this does nothing to save it from being labeled an emergency invention, for the simple reason that the N63B44 engine was also installed here. Yes, the system power of 485 HP is something, but we also have an increase in curb weight of over 250 kilograms compared to the xDrive 50i variant, so the hybrid's performance is worse anyway. Oh, and the batteries are not a model of durability, and are expensive. We're talking about 5-digit amounts. Automatic transmissions are one of the greatest advantages of the BMW X6 E71, E72. They are ZF designs, and, provided they are properly serviced, they are basically problem-free. There are 6 and 8-speed gearboxes. The former were used until the beginning of 2010 in regular versions, and throughout the production period in the X6M model, while the latter, from 2010 and throughout the production period of the active hybrid version, i.e., from 2009. The rest of the drivetrain is worse. The xDrive system is quite effective in transferring power to the wheels, but firstly, over 120,000 cars had a faulty front drive shaft. A recall was announced for cars manufactured between 2010 and 2013. And secondly, xDrive is very sensitive to the condition of the tires. Only tires in the size recommended by the manufacturer can be used. They must be worn evenly on both axles. It is not allowed to use different tires on the front and rear. They must be the same model. You have to keep an eye on the pressure. If there are any irregularities, the transfer case can go to hell. It is also worth adding that, unlike the related X5 model E70, the BMW X6 was equipped with dynamic performance control as standard, which means a rear axle with torque vectoring. Its failures are not common. Sources do not say anything about it. This is also a very big advantage of the X6, because according to many people, DPC radically improves the car's behavior on the road compared to the X5. Of course, I mean a sensible choice of engine version. If you buy the xDrive 50i variant, you can actually send us your adventures related to use. A good comedy drama is always appropriate. Users of the older 3.0 diesel simply drive and enjoy both the car's behavior on the road and the fact that other drivers have spasms at the sight of the X6, claiming that it's so ugly. And if you know of any common errors, your comments are welcome.